Good morning, students. Most welcome to this virtual classroom of Standard 8 being organized by St. Paul Modern School, Bakri Bazar, Nursery. Today we are going to discuss the first chapter in your science book, which is crop production and management. It sounds very easy. Crop. We live in the rural surroundings, so crop production is not a new word. It's a daily, in your daily life, most of your families are connected with farming also. But it's a vast, very important topic, crop production and management. Let us begin this understanding of what is crop, what are the ways of producing it, and how to manage it in the way so that the entire nation becomes independent on food. Food sufficiency. We have enough food in our country today because we manage our crop production perfectly. So let us begin with what is crop.
Let us recap a little. Food. You know, there are lots of varieties of fooding habit, particularly in a vast country like India. What is food? Food is the substance from which an organism gets energy and materials for growth, repair and maintenance of the body. Food consists of both plant and animal products. Although we will talk about plant products in this particular chapter, what are the advantages of having food? But before that, look at this picture of photosynthesis. You have read in the previous classes that photosynthesis helps the green plants to make food. They are the only food makers in this world. What we do is we produce plants which can be used as food. What does food do? Food gives us energy. Food helps us grow. Food helps us fight against diseases. Food helps us to stay healthy and fit. Now, India being a very big country, we have a very large population here. To become food sufficient, in order to provide food for such a large population like we have in India, we must produce food regularly. We need regular production of food. Not only that, after that, proper management of agriculture. Agriculture, this word we will discuss in this particular chapter. And lastly, we must also ensure that food is properly distributed. Now let us go to the main part of this chapter, agriculture. Long ago, 10,000 BC, that is almost 12,000 years ago from now, people didn't know what was agriculture. People were nomadic, Banjara at that time. They used to wander in groups in search of food and shelter. They ate raw fruits, vegetables, or hunted animals. Later, when they cultivated land, agriculture was born. So what is agriculture? The practice of growing plants for food and other useful purposes like spices, like medicines, etc. Practice of growing plants for food and other useful purposes is called agriculture. Plants of the same kind, please mind the points, plants of the same kind grown on a large scale in a particular field during a particular season are called crops. Right? Now, crops can be of various types. They can be cereal crops, they can be vegetable crops, they can be orchard, fruit crops. But according to the temperature, humidity, rainfall, different climatic conditions, we in India fundamentally divide the crops in two types. Kharif crops, the crops sown in the rainy season from June to September are called Kharif crops. Such crops are usually harvested in the month of October. Some examples like paddy, maize, soybean, cotton, etc. Second type of seasonal crop are the Rabi crops. The Rabi crops are sown in the winter season from October to March, and these are harvested usually in April. Some major examples are wheat, gram, mustard, linseed, etc. Apart from these, lots of fruits, etc. are also harvested, sown and harvested from time to time in different seasons. Particularly fruits are usually sown in the summertime.
So I hope up to this point, what we have shown you and taught you, it is all clear to you. If at some point you feel a little disturbed that I cannot understand very well, you know you cannot directly question me here, but you can put the question through telephone until the school opens, and you can also look up in the internet or YouTube on that topic by yourself. Now let us move on and go to the next part of the program. Look at the slides.
Now we come to the major discussion, that is agriculture. How is agriculture done? Agriculture, you understand, is a very major type of production, very important. We must do it properly. For proper doing of agriculture, we do some activities in a series, activities or task. These activities and tasks are known as agricultural practices. Look at the activities of agricultural practices in order. Number 1, preparation of soil. Number 2, sowing seeds. Number 3, adding manure and fertilizers. Number 4, irrigation. Number 5, protecting from weeds. Number 6, harvesting. Number 7, storage. Each part of this is so important that we must discuss them one by one in detail. So in this first part of our class, we will discuss only the first 3 practices, that is preparation of soil, sowing and adding manure and fertilizers. The rest of the parts we will discuss in the next period. Now we will discuss what we mean by preparation of soil. The soil must be prepared for proper crop production. The process of loosening and turning of the soil is called tilling or ploughing. How does it help? This helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes, those microbes which are friends of the farmer. Because once the earth is loosened up, the rest of the work, that is nitrogen fixation, let the air come into the soil more, these are done by these earthworms and microbes themselves. Sometimes after ploughing, it is necessary also to plank the field, that is loosening up, dusting up the soil more. Now, preparation of soil can be divided in 2 or 3 parts, that is planking, tilling, ploughing, and this can be also done by traditional methods or modern methods. Traditionally, we use animals and a plough for loosening up of the soil. And according to the modern machines, we use tractors, different types of tractors to loosen up the soil. Traditional plough has 3 main parts in it. You have seen it a lot of times. That there is a beam that is kept on the shoulder of the animals. And this beam is connected with a long stick which is called the plough shaft. And at the end of it, a very sharp and heavy metallic part is there which is called plough share. This goes into the field, into the soil. And in the same way, hoe can be mechanized, hoe can be also of traditional variety. Now, let us come to the second part of agricultural practices, which is sowing seeds. Good quality seeds and healthy seeds, high yield variety. These seeds can help farmers to have a very high yield, big production of crop. And this sowing of seeds must be done properly. It can be done both by traditional tools like the funnel, seed funnel. The seed funnel is like a, ordinary funnel. It looks like a funnel. It has 2 or 3 pipes having sharp ends. These ends pierce into the soil and place seeds there. And also there is a modern machine called seed drill. You can look at the pictures of these. Now some plants are there. Some plants are there which are a little delicate, like paddy. Paddy seeds need some very special care to germinate. Seeds of a few plants like paddy are first grown in a nursery. When they grow into plantlets, very small plants, they are manually, by hand, one by one, transplanted in the field. Now there is a special question for you. Do you understand now? Why a certain class in your school, the lowest class, perhaps your baby sister or brother reads in it, why this class is called a nursery?
I hope up to this point it's all very clear. Now we will go to the next part. Let's look at these slides.
This part is more serious part. Please try to understand it very clearly. Manure and fertilizers. What is the difference? We will go into detail later, but let us give a general definition because the work done by both is basically the same. Substances added to the soil. in the form of nutrients for the healthy growth of plants are called manure and fertilizers. Now, manure is an organic substance obtained from the decomposition of plant or animal waste. You have seen perhaps in your village the biogas plant, where the gobar gas plant, where the cow dung, etc. are used to produce manure regularly. Fertilizers are produced in laboratories. They are chemical substances, man-made substances, rich in a particular nutrient. It may be nitrogen, it may be phosphorus, it may be potassium. They are factory produced, and sometimes some modern fertilizers you will see at shop, they are noted NPK fertilizers, N for nitrogen, P for phosphorus, and potassium K. These are called NPK fertilizers. Now, what happens is that when we use fertilizers and manure, we replenish the soil. We replenish the soil with nutrients, because when we continuously practice agriculture on a particular field, the natural nutrients get depleted. They get less in amount. So we must replenish them. There is a third natural traditional way, that is rotating the crop, and particularly growing leguminous crops. Because in leguminous crops, you have learnt in the previous chapter, there are bacteria, friendly bacteria, particularly rhizobium bacteria. They fix the atmospheric nitrogen. Perhaps I remember at this point the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen in the air, the plants cannot take them directly like carbon dioxide or oxygen. They must be fixated in the soil through some friendly bacteria. Right? Now, finally, we categorically set the differences between fertilizers and manure. Let's study this chart and memorize it very clearly. The differences between fertilizer and manure. A fertilizer is an inorganic salt. You will know what is salt in scientific term in the upper classes. But now you remember, fertilizer is an inorganic salt. And manure is a natural substance obtained by the decomposition of cattle dung, human waste, plant residues. Manure is always organic. Second difference is that a fertilizer is prepared in factories, chemically prepared, and manure can be prepared in the fields itself. Third difference, a fertilizer does not provide any humus to the soil. It only adds a particular nutrient like nitrogen or phosphorus or potassium. But manure provides a lot of humus. The most fertility, the part of the soil that has the most fertility, it is called humus. Number 4, fertilizers are very rich in plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Manure is relatively less rich in plant nutrients. That's all right. But if we seriously look at the advantages of both, we will see that ultimately, in spite of being less rich in plant nutrients, manure has some advantages which the fertilizers don't have. What are they? Mature plants need a lot of water, and the soil must have a water holding capacity. This is enhanced by the manure. It enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. Number 2, it makes the soil porous, due to which exchange of gases like nitrogen, like oxygen, like carbon dioxide, exchange of gases from the atmosphere and the soil, it becomes easy. Number 3, it increases the number of friendly microbes because they are coming from organic sources. Manure gives birth to a lot of microbes which are friendly. And finally, it improves the texture of soil. Texture means the enriching part of the soil. Soil gets enriched. So these are the advantages of manure. And fertilizers, since they are chemical inorganic products, sometimes overuse of them harm the soil as well as the crop, and finally ourselves a little more. It is better to use the natural manure.
So, we have come to the end of our class on crop production and management. Now, what you will have to do after watching this video? Just by watching the video, you will not learn anything. It is only an introduction. What now you will have to do, that if you have the book, go through it very seriously. If you don't have the book, try to collect it as soon as possible. And also if you don't have the book and for some reason, obviously you cannot collect it also because it's an emergency situation going on all around. Go to the internet, study the relevant terms from there, go to the YouTube and see some interesting videos on the same topic and do the exercises. The exercises we will provide you with this video. They can be answered basically from these videos, our videos. But reading is very important because it will teach you, give you more command over your subject as well as the English language. You will learn how to use English language in everyday situation and different kinds of situations. So I hope with the next period, before the next video starts on the next topic, we will utilize this video as much as possible and come, but I'm sure you will do it. Till then, thank you everybody, stay home, stay safe, goodbye.